Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries. Um, hi wherever you are. It's evening here, and cut to the chase. As promoted, as promised, as previewed. This evening, I'm going to talk about active violence. Active violence is what they used to call an MOW, movie of the week. MOW. If you were going up for something, audition MOW usually. At least back then, 80s and 70s. So this is 1978. This is right after I did The Awakening Land, which was a mini series where I played Liz Montgomery's son. I mentioned yesterday evening that I basically got this job, just by walking into her office that afternoon. I was booked. There was no audition process. She just chose me. And that's the kind of special relationship we had, which I'll get into a little bit later on, or not that much later. But anyway, so there's this part of this child that is a San Francisco kid that is son to a single woman in San Francisco Midtown, trying to make it as an anchor woman. And so I'm this precocious kid. What do you know? Remember precocious, the word precocious? We all remember that word, right? Well, I was precocious kid. San Francisco, precocious, 12 years old. But Liz always believed in me. Liz always saw through what everyone thought was precocious and saw the sensitive young child that was inside of there, that he wanted everyone to know and see, but he was too busy with this mask on his face. So she saw through that. She saw through the mask. She saw beyond me. She saw there was something like magical between us, and she just saw through those things. So Liz gave me the most lines of my career, for starters, the most. Awakening Land, I've got a speech, about like civil rights or whatever, way ahead of its time. It goes on forever. In this movie, I'm basically, I'm as famous as the other co-stars because I was working all the time as a kid. So again, more lines, more scenes. I'm with her all the time. Speaking of which, locations. This was in San Francisco. As I said, to me, this is a thrill a minute because I'm like, by this time, I'm dreaming of Manhattan and, I don't know, becoming a friggin' ballet dancer in New York City. And, so big cities excited the hell out of me. So did San Francisco. For a lot of reasons. So these, typical of the time, these movies of the week would have location montages, either in the beginning credits or at the end they're doing something, or somewhere in the middle for a reason they're doing something. And it's a montage of this something. Well, this movie, typical movie of the week, of course, anything she did was gold in 78. And this touchdown. And we're in like San Francisco for frigging ever, doing this montage or montages. We're in a boat, we're on a pond, we're on a lake, we're on the seashore, we're at the Presidio by the Golden Gate Bridge. We were walking, we were riding bikes endlessly, running through the streets after each other. So very busy. Those are some of my favorite pictures, those ones of us biking and eating ice cream and at the beach and in, whatever. So it was really, that part I will always miss. Very special time for me. Now, just sort of breezing through that, within the context of this being a thrill a minute to me, being billed, with her again, co-starring role, and basically, the movie's about her and I, and then like a boss and my dad, like her ex-husband. That's it. So this story, anything again, like I said, Liz touched, especially at this time, was gold. And she was known for having done very controversial subject matter before. She was in what was known as A Case of RAPE. It was a very, very controversial TV movie that was the first time it was ever addressed, that word, like at all. And she had to, go to court to prove that she was innocent and not making it up or whatever. So that was heavy duty. And then she comes along with acts of violence. Act of violence, it's almost like back then they thought, were you an act of violence, or, or a case of RAPE, which was the other title? No, I was an act of violence. So again, so she plays this anchor woman, this TV anchor woman who gets mugged right outside in our apartment building, like by the elevator and then up towards the apartment and whatever. And so her perp was a Puerto Rican man among three men. It was not RAPE, but it was assault and full tilt assault on her, theft, battery. She was all cut up and whatever. And so she struggles in this story, in the midst of the story, with this issue of racism that and this is like, whoa, controversial. Like, this experience she felt, that she was brutally honest about towards the end, is when she kind of has this epiphany on the air, in everything but a trench coat and sunglasses, and so by the end, this struggle, because she started developing these sort of panic, with other ethnicities, and looping feelings about what happened and who and what, and then watching news while she was not on the news because she was recovering. And then she comes to this, like I said, very weird ending. Not weird, but like, I don't know, pretty heavy. And she gives this speech, this like soliloquy at the end, which just ends the film, about how this made her, like, she admitted, like, as the character, this, like, turned me into a racist for a while. And I kind of hid from it and hid from those feelings with my son. And I didn't, I was running around having ice cream in Alcatraz or whatever we were doing on those montages. But so then it ends on a very ambiguous note, which is again typical of the time, not very committed to one thing or another within its context. And I don't want to say like it leaves like, is she a racist or is she still a racist or whatever, but it was very ambiguous. It didn't hand you the answer. Again, kind of typical of the time, 70s television. So I think our return to Los Angeles from San Francisco, when we were shooting on the set of the apartment in San Francisco, kind of typified our relationship, she and I, which was, kismet, like, on steroids. And being in LA towards the end when we did the scenes on stage, it was so us. There was a scene, it's a very heavy ending, it's all about us in the end. Then she does this weird, thing on air, like disclosure about, I feel like I'm a racist and whatever. And so there's a scene in the end where she has to slap me. She has to slap the shit out of me. And I told her, I said, Liz, please do it. And I said, do it hard. And she didn't have to ask twice, she knew what I meant. And she slapped the shit out of me, like only once, but that was enough because she really slapped the shit out of me. I mean, I wasn't swollen, but boy, did I feel that hit. And I asked for it. So it was an amazing scene. In the end, it came out perfect. The whole confluence of like torn between like that and then us, our love for each other, and all of this stuff that we, again, by the end of that day, were being lit forever in that same kitchen at the dining room, dinette, whatever, later on. And again, typical of Liz and I, we were being lit forever. I mean, where were the stand-ins? And so we got really bored, and typical Liz, there's this ceramic fruit in the middle of the table, and there's like a pomegranate and a banana and a peach. And so I started playing with the peach and the grapes, like, and then she takes out the banana and the pomegranate, which was half a porcelain pomegranate, and she starts poking and tapping the banana against the pomegranate. I had lost it by that point, and thank God that they were finished lighting. But it was just, we had nicknames for each other. Like, I hadn't seen Harold and Maude, and she called me Harold the Horrendous, and I was supposed to have called her Maude the Malicious. Typical. I really miss you, and I love you, Liz. So in honor of Maud the Malicious and Harold the Horrendous, the forever fan, forever perennial son, TV son, and ever grateful and always full of love and nothing but have been then and ever since. And rest in strength. I miss seeing you at that when you were the Grand Marshal at the Gay and Lesbian Parade. I missed you. I didn't run down there. I lived on Sunset. I didn't run down and see you. I was so pissed because you weren't around for that long. So anyway, I hope I delivered. Again, my obligation to you is to, what is it? To deliver, I guess. Okay, thanks for putting up with me and my stories. Just real quick, this is going to be a marathon, believe it or not. I decided at the last minute, since yesterday was Awakening Land, today is Active Violence, tomorrow is going to be Spinal Tap, then I'm going to get deeper into deep dive on For Keeps with Molly Ringwald, and then go deeper on Valley Girl, and that's going to make it 5 days. So we're in the midst of a marathon. Okay, talk to you later. I love you. Bye.